Hello beaders, welcome to another video. I'm Michelle. Today we're going to make this chain link beaded necklace. Well, this one. This is the colors that I'm using today. For this first one I made, I wanted it to look, you know, like a chain, like, you know, kind of like a metal chain out of beads. This one I wanted it to look like, you know, a chunky lucite type necklace or chain, you know, those chains that are, you know, made out of like lucite. So that's what I was going for this video, but you choose the colors that you like, of the Superduos that you have, and make whatever color pattern you want. They're they wear very well. They've got a nice weight to them. I got a lot of compliments on when I wore this one. I haven't worn this one yet, so I just finished it. But yeah, let's get a materials list going. Okay, let's get a materials list going. Okay, I'm gonna use a lot of thread in this project. We're gonna use a lot of thread, and I found this spider wire Stealth Smooth. It's a lot like Fireline, not as stiff as Fireline. It's a little more threadier than Fireline, but it's kind of in between. It's not a real thready, but it's also a little bit, it reminds me a little bit like Fireline. It's a little stiffer. Alright, and I got this at Walmart, 125 yards for $11 and some odd cents. So I'll be using this today. You can also use Fireline or your beading thread of choice. Alright, you're going to need 2 tubes of Superduos. I got matte crystal AB. I was thinking about maybe mixing in, you know, one here and there for a pop of color. You know, in the first chain I made, you know, it was kind of like gold, but it had some copper and different pops of color. If I had a bigger tube of these, it would be better. So I'm not sure about that. You're going to need some 15-0 seed beads. I'm using this kind of periwinkle blue. And some 11-0s. And I do not know. This came from the Eureka Crystal Beads box, these two. So I'm not real sure about the color on that. I got a size 10 beading needle. Alright, and you're going to need a lot of beading threads, so just, but you're not going to need a bunch at once, because in this, you'll see in this video, you know, we're making components, and so let's just get everything together and get started. Right, let's get started. Let's pick up 20 Superduos. And I always just check both holes to save myself any problems. Alright, I went ahead and added one of the blue Superduos in the mix. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, recount, make sure you've got 20. And then we're going to sew them into a circle by going up through the first bead closest to the stop bead, the hole we've already been through. Okay, and just kind of force them where you want them. And I'm going to go back around and reinforce through the holes. Of course, just retrace the thread path through the holes that we've already been through. And here's a little tip to make this a little easier and make it look better is don't sew them together really tight. Don't pull tight. Okay? Because we need room in between these at center for 15-0 seed beads. We don't want them all bunched up. Okay? So just, and you don't even have to go clear down through. We'll be going back through that center, but I just wanted to get them established and laying right. I came down through, I don't know, about 6 or 7, 8 maybe of the Superduos. Let me zoom in just a little so you can see what I'm doing. And now we're in that middle hole of that Superduo we're coming out of. We're going to jump up into that outer hole of that same Superduo. And we're going to start putting on our 11-0 seed beads. So pick up an 11-0 seed bead, go through the outer hole of that next Superduo. Do it again, 11-0, through the next hole of that outer hole of that next Superduo. Pick up a seed bead, go through the next hole, and see what we're doing. We're adding those seed beads to the outer edge of this component. Pick up a seed bead, go through the next hole of the next Superduo. Pick up a seed bead, go through the outer hole of the next Superduo. And continue all the way around to do this. Same step, putting 11-0 seed beads on the outer edge in between each Superduo. Okay, when you get that finished, come back and we'll do the next step. Alright, so we just went through our last Superduo. I'm going to step up into that next 11-0 seed bead. Don't pull it real tight. Don't, yank on it, just where everything's laying nice and even. Right, then we're going to step up into the next Superduo so we can come down through that same Superduo through the bottom hole. And I caught another one, but that's okay, because we are going to be working in twos here. So we're going to pick up a 15-0 seed bead, and we are going to go through the next Superduo and the one after. We don't want a seed bead through every single Superduo in the center. It'll make it buckle, but we do need that inner strength. So go through 2 Superduos. Alright, pick up another 15-0, go through the next Superduo and the one right after it, and lay that 15-0 right there in between. Pick up a 15-0, go through the next Superduo and the one after. Pick up a 15-0, go through the next Superduo and the one after. I have to be very careful. When I'm zoomed in like this, I just move a fraction of an inch and I'm off screen. It looks funny there, but it won't when we get finished. Pick up a 15-0. Go through the next Superduo on the one after. Alright, we're going to have to move our stop bead here. Just pull it out. Pick up a 15-0. Go through the next two Superduos. Pick up a 15-0. Go through the next two Superduos. Pick up a 15-0. And go through the next two Superduos. Pick up a 15-0. Get through the next two Superduos. Pick up a 15-0. Go through the next two Superduos. And if you can get it, that 15-0 that we started adding in the beginning. Okay, and so there we've made our first unit. Our first chain link. Alright, and then we can go back and reinforce, but remember, don't pull real tight. You don't want it to, your unit to bunch up, but you do want it to be pretty stiff so it can hold its shape like a chain. Or, you know, one of the chain links. So right now I'm just going around the center, reinforcing what I just did. Alright, so continue to go reinforce your center and come back and we'll do the next step. Now to sew this unit off, you know, it's with Superduos, it's very easy to just, where the inside coming out of a Superduo, jump up into that outside hole. Alright, and then back into the inside, hold that Superduo, outside hold that Superduo, and we'll go around and tie, go under the thread bridge between the two beads, so we can tie a half hitch knot up through, or needle through that loop. And then go through that next bead. Okay, go through under the thread bridge. Let's, you know, tie a couple more half hitch knots, needle through the loop, pull it down until that knot's tight, and then go through that next bead. Pull that knot up into that bead. Now, in case you're not sure how to do a half hitch, see that thread bridge between the Superduo and the seed bead, needle underneath it, pull your thread up until you've got a small loop, needle through that loop, sure that knot's going right where you want it to be. So, you know, do it slow. And then go through a couple of beads, or however many beads you want to go through. Just a minute, I got a little knot here. Alright, and we'll come on the outer, or coming out of the outside hole of that Superduo, needle through the inside hole, go back through the outside hole, make sure our thread goes where we want it to go. There we go. And we can clip our thread off there. Our working thread, clip it off. And put on another stop bead. And get ready to do our next unit. Okay, I'll make another unit with you, and then I'll show you how to make the unit that binds them together as a chain. Alright, so pick up 20 Superduos again and come back. Alright, so we have 20 Superduos picked up. Sew them into a circle by going up through that bead that's closest to the stop bead. Through the hole we've already been through. No cookie. Stop. Sorry, my cat's messing with the camera. Alright, and kind of force them out the way you want them to lay. Loose, you know, not all bunched up and sprawl, you know, not too loose though. Alright, so let's go through a few more. Through that same thread path that we've already been through. See, I don't like to work when they're so loose like this and they keep sliding apart, but we don't want to really bunch them too much together by going through and making them real tight. I'd say I end up going through about half. See? I don't want them to be that tight. That's why I'm not going through the whole thing. I want them to lay like a sunburst. And I don't want them to slide on around on me. That's why I go through probably half the circle before I turn around. And go the other direction, add in my seed beads. I want them spaced apart nicely to where they can all lay. See, well, see, and this one's still sticking up, so we need a little bit more room. There we go. Now I want to reverse directions. Coming out of that same Superduo, coming out of the center hole, we're going to jump to the outside hole. Like that. And they're still, you know, of course they're flimsy, so pick up an 11-0 and go through that next top or outside hole, that next Superduo. Again, pick up an 11-0, go through the outside hole of that next Superduo, pick up an 11-0, go through the outside hole of the next Superduo, pick up an 11-0, through the outside hole of the next Superduo, and continue all the way around the outside, adding your 11-0s in between your Superduos, and come back and we'll do the next step. Okay, we're coming out of that Superduo after we put our last seed bead on the outside hole. Just go to the inside hole and go through one or two, however many, to get you started. Superduos. Alright, and then we're going to start with the 15-0s. And don't forget, we're only putting a Superduo in between every two, 15-0 in between every two Superduos. So, pick up a 15-0, go through the next two Superduos, pick up a 15-0, and go through the next two Superduos. Pick up a 15-0 and go through the next two Superduos. And lay that seed bead right in there. Pick up a 15-0. Go through the next two Superduos. But remember, don't pull real tight. We don't want to bunch them up. You can kind of use your fingers to press them out to where you want them to be. Pick up a 15-0. Come through the next two Superduos. Pick up a 15-0, go through the next two Superduos. Pick up a 15-0, go through the next two Superduos. Do it again. Pick up a 15-0, go through the next two Superduos. Watch your tail thread here, pick up a 15-0, go through the next two Superduos. Once more, pick up a 15-0 and go through those next two Superduos. Jump up into that 15-0 even, because we probably want to go around and reinforce this center like we did the last one, just by going back around through all the beads that we just came through. Trace your thread path all the way around. Alright, and then come back and I'll show you how we're going to make the component that ties each of these chain links together. Alright, and then once again we're going to end our thread off by going through couple of beads coming out of a Superduo, going down through the center hole of that same Superduo. Make sure your thread goes down by the Superduos and not seed beads. Back up through the outer hole. And there's, you know, so we're just switching directions there, and that really helps to secure the thread. We'll go down through a few more. Since we did not reinforce this outside row, you know, we're doing it as we're tying off. So catch a thread bridge, needle through that loop, pull down, and then go through a couple more beads. Needle under that thread bridge. Pull down till you have a loop, needle through that loop. Tighten that knot and go through the bead. Or a couple of beads, and then we'll go ahead and reverse directions a couple times again. Coming out of that outer hole there, we'll just jump down into the same bead, the second hole of that same bead. If I can get it, it's kind of tight. Here we go. And then out up through the outer hole. And through the next bead. And we'll tie another half hitch knot. And we'll tie another half hitch knot. Look. So, see, this is, now I think if I use beeswax and wax this good, it would be a lot stiffer and a lot better of thread to use. But you know, sometimes in today's economy, we're going to have to find different resources, cheaper resources. And that's my mission for this thread, you know, searching for a cheaper thread. And it works, you know, but maybe beeswax will help it work better. Alright, so I think we're pretty secure on this component's pretty secure, ready to cut the thread. Alright, now let me show you how to make a connector. The chain link connectors here, you see here. Alright, so we're going to pick up, make sure you have 2 holes in each of your Superduo. So pick up one Superduo and one 11-0 seed bead. One Superduo, one 11-0 seed bead. Do that 11 times. Superduo, 11-0 seed beads. You're going to have 11 Superduos. Okay, when you get 11, come back, we'll do the next step. Okay, now we've got 11 Superduos. But we don't want, I made a mistake, I put an 11-0 seed bead. I picked up that last. We don't want that. We want, this is our stop bead, this 11-0 down here at the bottom. So we just want Superduo, with 11 O's in between, but we don't want them on the ends, okay? Like I said, that's our stop bead. So we come directly down through the top of that Superduo, that very first one, where our thread's coming out the hole in the left. We're going to go down through the hole in the right, and then very simply, all we're going to do, pick up an 11-0, go down through that next hole on the right side of the next Superduo. Alright, and we're just going to continue to put a seed bead there. And one other thing, I went ahead and switched back to this spider wire thread because it was doing just as good a job as the Fireline was, and this project takes a lot of thread. So, you know, I wanted to use my cheaper thread that works just as well on a more thread forward project, just to save a few bucks, make my Fireline go longer, you know, stretch it out longer. I really did enjoy using this spider wire, and of course I'm continuing to, if your Superduo has flipped over, just bring it back around, go down through that right hole, okay, and see how that's going to end up. So continue to go down and put your 11 O's on in between every Superduo, and come back when you've made it down here to the bottom Superduo. Alright, we're down at the bottom, and we're coming out the wrong end. We want a thread on this end and a thread on that end. It makes it easier to control when you're adding your lengths together. So just missing your stop bead, take your working thread and needle all the way down through every bead on that opposite side that you are coming out of, and go down through all these beads. Without missing any. And there we go. Now, you know, pull on both ends, straighten it out, and get ready. And I'll show you how to add your links together with this little component. Threads before, if you want, the tail threads before we attach them, if you'd like. But, you know, if you're careful, you don't have to do that right yet. You can do that whenever you want. And then we bring this component, we put two of the chain links together, and we bring our component we just made by the head tail thread and the working thread up, see, with the two chain links in between. Alright, and we get hold of it. And we're going to pick up a 11-0, and we're coming out of this left hole of this Superduo, and we'll be going through the left hole of this Superduo, which happens to have the tail thread coming out. And we'll go ahead and go through the seed bead, 11-0 seed bead as well. And pull. Now if that stop bead gets in the way, just pull it out. Alright, then we're going to go back up, we're going to go straight across and back up through the 11-0 on the opposite side and the Superduo. And then we're going to pick up a 11-0 seed bead, and we're going to go through that right hole of the Superduo on the other side and through the 11-0 on the opposite side, and pull, and that brings that unit together. Alright, so we'll come back. Now we have to secure our thread. Come back straight across. We'll come straight across here, up into that 11-0, up into that Superduo, and we'll come through the 11-0, Superduo, 11-0. We just want to make sure that's units tied together or sewn together very securely. So we'll come back, we'll go straight across again, back, up on the other side. And up a couple more. But we do, especially with these crystal and see-through Superduos, we don't want to get real dark thread. You know, so we'll sew down a little more to sew off, because we've already got a lot of thread in that area. So we'll go down through one Superduo and seed bead, and we'll go through the next Superduo, and up through the other side of that Superduo. You know, it's reversing directions there, and up through the previous side we just came out of. Alright, and then we'll go underneath between those two beads, tie a half hitch knot. When I first started beading, I was so nervous about tying half hitch knots. People would do it so quickly. It's like, did I see that right? You know? So I understand. Let's try to do it again slowly. Go in between. We're coming out of this Superduo, so we'll go through that, under that thread bridge right after it, and right before that seed bead. Pull your thread till you go small loop. Put your needle through that loop and pull until that you feel that knot's tight, and then go through a couple of beads. And I just got a knot in my thread. And this was fire line. I did switch to fire line. So let me get off and get the knot out, and I'll be right back. Alright, and then we'll go through 11-0 and the Superduo, and then we will come up this side and do a couple half hitch knots as well. I just came up the other side of that Superduo and 11-0, went through the 11-0, and I'm just gonna find a thread bridge right past the bead I'm coming out of. Pull down till you have a small loop, needle through that loop, and make sure your thread goes where you want it, right down in between these two beads. Go up through the next bead, and then maybe one more half hitch. Once you get used to this, you can do this very quickly, and it don't take as much time as, you know, it seems like when you're first starting out to tie off or sew off a project. You're not taking that much time. Alright, so I think that's secure. So I'm going to cut my thread, and the way I do it is, like right now is when I would go ahead and sew in my tail threads. you know, to get it out of the way, because I don't want at the end of this project, you know, this, what, 30 some, maybe 30-inch necklace to go tying every tail thread in when I'm finished. So I like to do it as I go along. So go ahead and thread your, I'm going to go ahead and thread my needle and sew in these tail threads the same way we did every time we sewed in, just half-hitch knots and then going through and reversing directions a few times in the Superduos, and then a few half-hitch knots, okay? And then it should be pretty darn secure. I don't know what happened to my bead mat. It got cut. Alright, so get there, come back, and we'll go from there. Alright, this whole necklace is 22 chain links, these big ones. You gotta make 22 of those and 21 of the small ones. And that's all this necklace is. And it, let me tell you, it's substantial. It looks great on. I like the big, you know, chunky metal necklaces. So I thought, let's make it out of some Superduos. It's got such a nice weight. You know, you do have to keep making units and units and units, but you'll get used to that. Like I said, use the same large piece of thread to make several units, 3 or 4 units, and time, it'll just fly by. And you can either wait and make your these units after you have all the other made, or just, you know, go back and forth adding them. Like if you have a smaller piece of thread, you want to go ahead and make one of these units and tie, you know, a couple of your chain links together. That's how I did it. But however you want to do it, you know, just go through and make your units and hook them together. And that's all this necklace really is. But it turns out beautiful. And I'll come back when I'm done making my units. You can keep going back to that first part of the video where I'm showing you how to make both the units, and just make all your units. You know, you don't have to do it in a day and a sitting. I didn't. It took me a few days to work on this first one I made. And then it's got a very simple closure here. I wanted to add a little more length, so I just, you know, added a few more Superduos, but we'll do that. We'll come back and do the closure, put the ends on here in just a sec after we're finished, you know, on video, just a sec, but, you know, after I'm finished making all my units. So have fun with it, and I'll see you when we get back. Alright, we've got all of our lucite. This necklace reminds me of those, I don't know if you've seen them, I think they're lucite made chain links, you know, pretty chunky. And that's why I use the crystal, matte crystal AB, because, you know, I kind of like that look, that lucite look of, I don't know, iridescent. Anyway, so we want to put our ends on now. Okay, I only did 20 instead of 22 chain links long on this one. But you can do 22, you can do 20, however many you want, however long you want it to be. So we're going to find the center, which is any 2 of these. So I'm starting a new thread. I've got my stop bead on. And I'm going to go up through, and I've left enough tail to sew in, and I'm going to go up through. I might, you know, to hold it more secure while I'm working, I might come down the opposite side of one of the Superduos on my way up to position, and then back through the outer hole. you know, to kind of hold that secure while I'm working. And then I'm going to come up, I'm going to find the 2 seed beads that I'll be working out of. And it's going to be these 2 11-ohs. And see how on this one, that's the 2 I worked out of the 2 seed beads there, and added my ending of, I used 5 Superduos and then seed beads in that. I might add a few more since I didn't do as many chain links. So we'll do this just like we did the linking components. We're coming out of a seed bead. We'll pick up a Superduo, seed bead, 1 Superduo, or 2 Superduos, seed bead, 3 Superduos, seed bead, 4 Superduos, seed bead. Let's see if this one's got 2 holes. Sometimes I can see the holes, and other times I can't. So that's 5. That's 6. And I'm going to do 7. 7 Superduos. And then we're going to come straight down through that top Superduo. What happened? Oh, it's up here. Alright, and then we're gonna work our way down, adding seed beads in between all the Superduos. We're just picking up an 11-oh and going down the second hole of all the Superduos that we added. Okay, we came down through the bottom one, and then we want to make sure they're, if you just hold your component loosely and pull, it'll pull it down close to the component, and then just go ahead and come up through that second seed bead, like so. See? You went through that seed bead, coming out on the left side of that seed bead. Alright, we got to get back to that component we just put on. So we'll go through that next outer hole of that next Superduo. We'll cross over to the center holes. Make sure you get the 15-ohs also in the center. We've got to go down past the point that we need to get to this Superduo so we can turn around and head back up. If I can get through here. These beads are really close together. Ouch! Oh, I just rammed that under my nail. Alright, I'm going to roll with it. And then I'm going to jump on the outer hole of that same Superduo. And I'm going to head back up. That closure we're making. And then I'm going to go straight up. Make sure to get all the beads on the right side. Of these Superduos and seed beads. Okay. Alright, and then on this one I picked up 5 seed beads, and then another Superduo. And I'm going to pick up 1 seed bead. Now, this is an important step when you're making a beaded necklace, is establish, you know, if you're right or left-handed, you need to establish which side you like better. You know, which side of the necklace shows more color or whatever, more desirable to you. Okay. And then that will tell you, and if you're right-handed or left-handed, I usually put this part in my right hand because I'm right-handed, and this part on the left. So this is the left side of the necklace for me. And that changed, you know, I was working like this. Now I'm going to work like this. And it just moved it from right to left. Alright, so you've picked up your seed beads, your Superduo, and your seed beads. Let me try to do this laying it down. And then, this is double-sided. I forgot to tell you, you need a toggle clasp, or whatever kind of clasp. You can even use a, if you wanted to, you could use a lobster claw. Pick up 1 more seed bead, and then go down the second hole. In my instance, it's on the right. It's a right hole, that Superduo. Pull. Alright, and then pick up 5 more. However many seed beads you picked up on this side, pick it up on this side. And come down, do that Superduo, seed bead, Superduo, seed bead. I don't know, sew down into a few, like that, so you can get a good, you know, hold on the necklace. It's sewed in well. See, there's the ending. Now, we've got to reinforce, so we'll go back up through. Just reinforcing, or just tracing your thread path that's already there through the beads we've just added. Up through Superduo seed bead, through the loop, down through that seed bead and Superduo, and then 5 seed beads. And Superduo seed bead. Alright, so that's, I don't know, 2 passes. You can go up and reinforce 1 more time, go all the way around, come down, and we'll tie some half-hitch knots. Alright, so go ahead and go up, trace your path, reinforce 1 more time, come back. Okay, I reinforced, and I ended up back down through that first Superduo and the 11-0. And that's where we can tie our first. This is a really weighty, it's got some weight to it. And I love that about beaded jewelry. Not all beaded jewelry has weight to it, but when you use enough beads, it does. So let's go under the thread bridge between those two beads there. Pull. So you got a small loop. With a small loop, there's less chance of you getting tangled up. Needle through that loop. Make sure that knot goes down in between those two beads that you want it to go. The one you were in the center of. And then go down through that next bead and pull that knot up in the center of that bead. Same thing. Thread bridge. Needle under it. It's the thread between two beads. Pull down till you have a loop. Put your needle through that loop. It doesn't matter which way you put your needle. I had all kinds of questions. I thought, when I first started beading, I thought, am I doing this right? Like, is this right? You know, it's too easy. And everybody I watched did it real fast. So, you know, it was like confusing. But it couldn't be easier. Find a thread bridge, you know, the bead you're coming out of. Go underneath that thread bridge, in between that bead and the next bead. Pull down till you have a small loop. Needle any way you want through that loop. It doesn't have to be a certain way. Pull that knot down tight. Then take it up, needle up to the next bead, and pull that knot up to the next bead. Alright. I'm going to do a few more. I recommend you do too. Make this as, you know, you want to keep this for a long time. So we want it to be, we don't want it coming apart. And what I like to do is come down doing half-hitch knots along one side. And then going up the other side. So we'll switch directions and go up through the hole on the same Superduo, the second hole, the opposite hole, the one you're coming out, and then do the same thing all the way up on this side. Half-hitch knots. Needle through that loop. Pull down and go through the next bead. I hope you sewed your tail threads in. You know, not here, of course, yet, but I'm talking about because there's a lot of tail threads, because we have to make every single unit separately. So there's a lot of tail threads. So I recommended, you know, you sew them in as you go, because that's an awful lot of tail threads that you would have. If you didn't, this project takes a while. Work on it a few hours a day if you get the chance. And I think you'll really love the outcome. I did. And still do. Alright, so I'm going to, off camera, do a few more half-hitch knots, and then I'll come back. Alright, so put your tail thread. We're going to go ahead and sew that in. This is the thread that we started to add our clasp. And this is the end of it we left to sew in. And so it's the same process. It is going under the thread between two beads. Thread bridge, pull until you have a small loop, needle through that loop, pull down, go through that next bead. So, excuse me, needle through under the toe, or the thread bridge. Pull down till you have a small loop. Needle through that loop. Go through that next bead and pull that knot right up into that bead. Go under the thread bridge. Pull down till you have a loop, needle through the loop. Go down to the next bead. My thread almost came off my needle. Alright, and then I'm going to go up through the center, to the center hole of that same Superduo, just to change directions, just to make it a little more secure, and back down through the outer hole. And under the thread bridge, through the loop, through the bead. Under the thread bridge, through the loop, oops, my thread came off, so do a couple more, come back, and do the next step. Alright, now we want to do the same thing on the other side, put the other side of our toggle clasp on. And that consists of, it doesn't matter which two beads you're coming out of, because your necklace will flip and make it the center. So you want to come out of this one of the two beads on the inside of the bead. Add 7 Superduos, or however many you added on the other side, and then 5 seed beads, a Superduo, and a seed bead, your clasp, seed bead, Superduo, 5 seed beads. And if you wanted to, you could even do that. You know how I made this whole component first and then did it? But you can even do one side up and then the other side back, whichever you prefer. Just make sure you reinforce it. Go back in the video and watch how I did this side if you need to. Alright, come back and we'll look at our beautiful chains, our beaded chains. Alright, I was going to let you go off and do it on your own, but I want to go ahead and show you the second way, and show you another way to do the end and have the same results. So we're going to pick up one Superduo, one 11-0 seed bead, one Superduo, one 11-0 seed bead, one Superduo, one 11-0. We're going to do that 7 times. That's 4. 5. All right. And then we're going to do, and keep going. You're going to pick up 5 11-0 seed beads. A Superduo, a seed bead, through our clasp, a seed bead, go through the second hole of that Superduo, See, second hole of that Superduo. Five 11-0 seed beads. And down through that second hole of that next Superduo. And then we'll pick up a seed bead and go through each second hole of each Superduo here on the way back down. 11-0, go through the next Superduo. Pick up an 11-0, go through the next Superduo. Pick up an 11-0, go through that next Superduo. Same. Again. See, I've got this flipped over because I'm right-handed. But I'll flip it back when we get there. $11.0. And the next Superduo is over here. I'm going to flip back around, see. And go up through that second seed bead. On the chain link, or the, component we worked out of in the beginning. And that we started in this seed bead, we're going to go down through this seed bead and Superduo. Okay. And then we'll, like we did the other, we will go into the center hole of that same Superduo we're coming out of. And get it, so we can work our way back. Either here or here, either one. Everything's pulled so tightly together, it's, it's a little tedious to get through some places, but not too bad. Okay, we're going to go through here, this Superduo, and through this seed bead. And it's pretty full. Maybe not. Okay, and then we're going to go right back up and reinforce this ending. Right? After you do this 1-2 times, and then it's time to come back and tie your half-hitch knots. If you need to go back in the video and watch me do it again, it's there and you can do that. Alright? Come back and we will look at our necklaces. Like I said, I really do like this spider wire. I bought it at my local Walmart. It's a little more thready than a Fireline, but it's not as thready as the Power Pro. The Power Pro came for a little, it caught on for a minute but didn't last because it was just too thready, or I don't know what it was, but this is much better. 11 something for 125 yards. I enjoyed working with it. As a matter of fact, in the beginning I told you I was going to switch to Fireline because this was a little too limp or whatever, not stiff enough. I actually went back to using the spider wire instead of the Fireline because it felt just as good, just as stiff with the end product. Alright, and it's cheaper, so this is a very thread forward project, uses lots of thread, and so if I can use a cheaper thread and it worked just as well, why not? Okay. And here we go. Here's our chain. Finished and completed. There's the back, you know, around the neck there, so it's not so bulky and cumbersome. Around the neck, and looks like it's a lucite chain in a way, you know, when you glance at it. But it's really made of beads, and it's such a great, it looks great on. I got so many compliments on this one when I wore it. So I'll show them to you on a bust to show you how they lay. And thanks for watching. If you find value in my videos, please subscribe and ring that notification bell, as well as follow me on my social media channels on Facebook. It's still Michelle's Jewelry Art. And if you want to join the conversation in our beading community, join our Facebook group, Artistic Jewelry and Beads. I'd like to see what you're working on, and it's just a place to discuss projects and beads and all that fun stuff. So thanks for watching, everybody. I'll be doing the earrings to match this, which includes a 12mm cushion cut Rivoli and the Superduos and all that. So tune in for that when it comes out, and I'll see you in the next one.